Good evening, friends. I'm very happy to have Mr. Neeraj Jain with us today, who is going to talk to us on a very important topic, based on his valuable experience. You would already seen his brief bio in our LinkedIn, in our webpage at the FENG, but still, for the purpose of those who have not had a chance to look at it, I'll just have a read through. Uh, Neeraj Jain is a rank holder, chartered accountant, and company secretary with over 30 years of management experience in finance, supply chain, and business across diversified industries at Johnson and Johnson and Hindustan Lever in positions of increasing responsibility in India, ASEAN, and Asia Pacific. He spent his formative years in management consulting at AF Ferguson's. Neeraj's key areas of expertise include strategic business partnering, process excellence, controllership, mergers and acquisitions, business reorganization, and talent development. Since his retirement from J&J in 2020, Neeraj has been involved in angel investing as part of Binners, BINNERS, a group of 150 CXOs which he had co-founded a few years back. He is also the founding director of the company that reviews and takes investment decisions and handles all administrative affairs of this group. Besides, Neeraj is also an independent director and a member and chair of one or more audit, risk, and NRC committee of Tata Trustee Company Private Limited. There is a trustee company for Tata Mutual Fund and Tata Capital, and also Tata Pension Management Private Limited, which handles the NPS subscriptions. He's the audit committee chair, board risk committee member, and he is also with the Radio Wala Network Limited. That is a new age media company, where again he is an audit committee chair, as well as the board is part of the board and NRC and stakeholder relationship committee. And then the last one is Growmax Agri Equipment Limited, which is part of M&M tractor manufacturing company. In addition, he is also a board advisor and a healthcare company engaged in research. At Johnson and Johnson Medical, Neeraj was the vice president finance or CFO in India. Over 13 years, he held various senior positions at J&J in Asia. Prior to J&J, he held positions of increasing responsibility over 17 years with Hindustan Unilever, the last being general manager commercial exports. As an Indian management board member and a director of the board of the company that handled orthopedics, and as part of the APAC finance leadership at J&J, Neeraj led several strategic initiatives in business, finance, and supply chain. Neeraj brought in the concept of finance business partnering, on which he is going to share his valuable insights at J&J Medical India, led process simplification and standardization while driving compliance, brought down operating costs, and also transition in the acquired companies like Depuy Medical and Synthesis in J&J, transitioned several businesses while optimizing results and remodel the ASEAN countries to a business unit structure. He also worked on global strategic project to refine key business strategies relevant for the next 25 years at J&J Medical globally. At HUL, while growing up doing classical finance and supply chain roles, Neeraj worked on several M&A deals, including Tomco transition. That was a very big deal. I still recollect that. That was one of the largest, always quoted. Transition in early part of his career and divestment of seeds to a PE fund in the US, a business which he himself led. He also set up a joint venture between HUL and SC Johnson Incorporated, where he managed finance, IT, procurement, and HR. Later, he reorganized the exports business, where he was also the board member of Ponds Exports Limited, which incidentally I do remember the factory was in Chennai. Yes. Neeraj was awarded as one of the 100 most influential CFOs in India in 2006 by CIMA. Earlier, he was recognized among the top 100 CFOs in 2015 by 9.9 Media. He is a regular speaker at finance, business, and management events in India, and has been a guest speaker at MBA schools and also at the FENG last year. We had a fantastic session. Neeraj has a passion for tourism, particularly in wildlife and nature and amateur photography. His wife is a homemaker, and they have two boys. The elder one is working for a mental health startup in Mumbai, and the younger one is just completed his graduation at the Wharton School. Congratulations again to your son. Neeraj, I request you, over to you, Neeraj. I request you to share your LinkedIn connect details in the chat box for, for the benefit of our members who can network with you as at their opportunities.
Of course.
So, yeah.
No, thank you so much, Arun. This is the longest introduction I've ever had in my life. I think this is like, I think all of us in this group have similar kind of profile and list of accomplishments. But happy to be part of your group today, and happy to be here talking to you and people who are not online right now, but later they can have a look at it. I'm going to share, as I said, my learnings, which I used while furthering my career, as well as giving back to the department, function, and the company I worked for. And so let's straight away dive into how do we make.
1 minute. I just want to add to the announcement. If any of you have questions, if it is very topical and then you need to interrupt, you have the liberty to interrupt and then ask a question, or you may post it in the chat box as you usually do, and then it will be answered by Neeraj at the end of the session.
So Arun and Charlotte, as I said earlier, I'm very comfortable being stopped during the presentation and take the question on, and then we can keep moving.
Fantastic.
Perfectly okay. Yeah. So let's straight away dive into how the finance function can partner better with other functions. It's such a daily affair in our lives while running finance, whether we are at a middle level or a senior level or a top level. How do we make it work better? How do we get the best results without really creating unpleasant unpleasant opportunities? Instead, actually finding the right fit and the right way of managing each other. So I will talk about that, and also some do's and don'ts, some lessons learned, some challenges, and some solutions which I found useful. Okay, if I go too fast, let me know. If I'm slow, wow, I'm not able to move the slides by. Arun, any idea why I can't move my slides?
Charlotte, I think you would authorize for, I think it will be at your end because if you can display.
Yeah, it's being displayed, but I'm not able to.
Is he a co-host? You made him a co-host, Charlotte?
If you want to send me your slides, I'm happy to run the slide deck for you.
Just give me a sec. I'm going to stop sharing and then share again. Okay. It should move. There's no reason why it should not move. I'm just
computers. Gotta love them. Gotta hate them.
So I was wondering why we haven't had a hiccup so far on technology. It always happens. Now, something is clearly not working. So I'm able to share from here, but when I go full screen, I'm not able to.
Well, then leave it that way.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's moving now. Okay, fine, great. Right, I think we can start talking. Right, so let's talk about the partnership role, the finance partnership role. Yeah, I think we are the only function which has a complete overall bird's eye view of the entire business. And we tend to understand almost every function, every business, because the way we are positioned, I think we have an insight or a view of all the functions and all the businesses within a company. And I think that helps us to provide that impetus, to the business, advising the CEO, advising the board, advising the functional leaders on what can work, what will work, and how do we remain compliant, and how do we really make sure that the governance and controls remain intact. I think that's the way I really define my role or our role, that become a partner while maintaining control and help them really achieve their goals, help them achieve the growth, help them achieve the functional excellence, while we maintain our own internal controls and the governance. Yeah, and let's see how. Yeah, so let's see one by one what are the functions we partner with. Sales and marketing, we'll talk about that in a bit. Manufacturing and R&D, I think that's a very natural partner. Early on, we get experiences there. HR, I think HR, legal, compliance, IT, these are very natural partners. And I think on a daily basis, we spend a lot of time with these four functions: HR, legal, compliance, and IT. While sales and marketing and manufacturing R&D are more front end and back end functions, which are driving the business, in the market. And our role, as I see, is to be enablers for each of them. How do we enable them function, as I said earlier, while maintaining our own controls? Yeah. Let's look at sales and marketing first. Yeah. My apologies for this unnecessary animation here. So if you were to collaborate for growth, governance, and control, that's how I define it. I mean, we are collaborating for growth and governance, right? Keeping control on the back of a mind. Sales and marketing. So if it is sales growth, which is the subject for sales and marketing people, they're looking for sales growth. Our role typically can be around the business models we can create for them, can be channel evaluation, can be gross margin, working around the gross margin, can be working with them in the marketplace, can be helping them really look at what works, what doesn't work. Salespeople typically are looking at us, for ideas on growth. And does it make sense to really grow in a particular business line or area or not? And if we can handhold, them and tell them, help them that this is a model which can work, whether an e-commerce model will work or an offline model will work, or a B2B or a B2C or a B2B2C, what kind of model can work? What kind of channel? Is it a retail channel? Is it a wholesale channel? Is it a distributor channel? Is it a direct model? And what are the implications of each of these? I mean, these guys love it. The salespeople, I can tell you from my own experience, that once we start engaging with them on models and channels, they think we are their natural partners. And that gets us a lot of brownie points. Yeah. FP&A has been there for forever, for ages. And one change I see in FP&A, and this is one of my business leaders telling me about 10 years ago, saying, you know what, you guys are great. Finance guys are great. They are always 98% there. I don't know why they keep talking about past trends. They always show me graphs and, the actual margins, actual graphs, actual net profit, the PAT or the, sales growth. But I want future. I don't want the past. So I think we're moving from past trends to forecasting. And that's where I think the partnership, finance partnership with salespeople is moving particularly at a mid and the top level. They're looking at us to tell them that what we see would be the future for their business. And there are tools available, there are models available to really, look at the forecast for their business. I'm not saying don't do the trends, that has to be there, but I think forecasting is the value add. Capital reallocation, they're also looking at us again, what works, what doesn't work, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. And I think it's a very favorite area for all finance people, capital spends and capital evaluation. I'm talking about reallocation. Don't do this business line, do this business line. This makes sense, this doesn't make sense. If I'm working somewhere at a very low margin, which is giving me a net break even or a loss, and there's no hope in the future, do I put money there, or do I put money where it's a nascent, market, but a huge potential, and the technology driven, let's say, and AI driven, and things are moving that side? Do I put money in that area? I think we are in a position to really advise what works, what doesn't work. Yeah. Sales incentive sounds boring to a lot of people, but I can tell you that a lot of time gets spent in partnership, and sales and marketing leadership is looking at us to tell them that whether it is fair and if the data is accurate. So I think that's where our role comes in, that, is the policy incentive workout, incentive policy which they're creating, is it really fair? Does it make sense from a fairness point of view? And then provide the accurate data to them on time so that the incentives can be calculated and distributed. New technologies, CRM, it's a huge area. Again, resource allocation, prioritization, they would look at money from us for CRM. So how do you really manage the last stage consumer or the retailer, and what kind of technology we can do, what kind of investments we can do. Sales guys are looking at us to really provide that capital, I would say. Now, our salespeople deal with customers, could be distributors, could be customers, could be consumers, could be a B2B, a hospital in a healthcare, or in e-commerce could be the chain selling the retail goods. I think they're looking at us to provide that accounting support, credit days, turns, and how do we manage the credit days? How do we manage the accounting support? Is it outsourced? Is it in-house? Is it online? Is it offline? This is a huge area. I can tell you the impact of this is very high. It may sound very basic, but it's a very high impact item. And if it goes wrong, again, the bad impact of this is also very high. Some businesses have tenders, so tender management can be a big area where salespeople look at legal and finance to be the functions who can help them manage pricing, manage taxes, understand taxes. I mean, US has state taxes. We have state taxes in India similarly. Some countries have national taxes. Some countries have no taxes, like UAE. So, but managing pricing and managing taxes with the right checks and balances, with the right compliances, watertight in some cases, because these can go wrong, horribly wrong in the countries where the Transparency International Index rates them low, and there are chances of briberies in the market. Tenders can be very risky out there. So how do we manage tenders? And salespeople are looking at help from us. They should not be doing something wrong in the marketplace without legal and finance advising them. And that's where I think we come in. Of course, marketing campaigns and launches, they're looking at us for budget support. They're looking at us to tell them, the cost estimates. These are, again, routine areas, but I think every company, every business will need that support from us. So this is the area around sales and marketing. We're moving away from just being sales support to really coming front end and talking about models, channels, forecasting, new technologies, CRM, while spending time on the traditional areas like customers, dealers, tenders, and marketing campaigns. With this, let's move on to the next area, manufacturing and R&D. Our partnership as finance people, what are those areas where we can really partner? And this is every company where there are factories, there are production houses, there is this manufacturing involved, there's R&D involved, supply chain involved. So cost management, very traditional. I can tell you every technical person out in the company looks at the finance colleague to tell him or her that what is my COGS versus the budget? Am I doing right? Am I not doing right? Is my per unit cost okay? Not okay? And that ratification, first calculation, then ratification, I think is where we come in to provide that support. A lot of local compliances, whether it is healthcare, whether it is any other business, which are regulated. I think finance partners with legal and compliance team to get this done. Now, local liaison, the GST, the local taxes, every country has their own tax structures, but finance guy really provides that one-point contact to make sure the compliances are checkboxed. Yeah, vendor support, like in the customer area, vendor support here will mean the payment part and any issue resolution which the vendors may have. And this is more a hygiene thing, but if not done, can be painful. I think the fourth point, inventory, is a huge area. And I, in my experience, have seen that this is a high impact area. The working capital management, biggest part is inventory management. And the kind of turns, the slow and fast move, slow and obsolete, inventory items, disposal of those, write-offs of those on time, managing, the slow items, and making sure that the inventory, while being lowest, ensuring production is not stopped at any point of time, which means that while we say just in time, but also availability, and that's where I think finance guys would provide a lot of support to store, to purchase, to supply chain, and to the factory management, whether with numbers, whether with calculations, whether with putting that pressure on getting things right and getting warehouses cleared of all the slow and obsolete items. Yeah. In the manufacturing and R&D area, employee support, they always want to bank upon finance, and typically payroll sits with finance, and banking is always part of finance, and that's where I think the employees are looking for some support. And similarly, the supply chain guys are looking for support in the warehousing and the warehousing logistics area, where now let me give an example of warehousing management support. Getting a new software in the warehousing, and there are lots coming in these days. Getting robots introduced in the warehouses. This could be costly, but there could be fairly quick returns. Sometimes you may not do these things because they sound expensive, and finance guys can come in and work with the team out there and say, no, it may be expensive, but it makes sense because the ROI seems all right or seems very attractive at times. Warehouse has a lot of automation happening. We're seeing that in India. We're seeing that everywhere. In Southeast Asia, it happened before us. All the warehouses are getting automated, and there are 2 people or 3 people in the entire large warehouse managing the entire setup there. And that's where I think we also come in to really manage and help allow the warehouse team to run those projects and make sure that the cost is available. Yeah. I'm just giving a small break. Anybody has any questions, or keep moving otherwise? Okay. Let's look at HR. Very natural partner. HR will look at finance, finance will look at HR, and also crib that, oh guys, these guys can't do numbers. I mean, sometimes very painful. But the fact is that HR guys, many times, they look at finance people for number crunching. And they, with due respect to them, they may not be the best people to manage numbers. When I say numbers, even things like basic things like headcount. I've always done headcount for the HR folks, and number tracking, reporting, which typically becomes part of the SAP or the ERP, whichever ERP you use, and then it broken down into various kind of numbers: management, non-management, workmen, contracted, non-contracted, trainees, interns. So there's a whole area around headcount management where we help them. Now, early in the career, we might feel that, oh, what the hell, this is not my job. But the fact is, it's a very high impact item. And this is where I think we develop partnership with HR folks. Very little time will take for us to do it, but it will help us a long way in managing a host of activities around HR, including training development budgets, allocation of cost or training support, training development support, which is a huge area for all of us, including finance folks. Annual appraisals and increments. I mean, HR doing things on their own. Imagine if the increments are given at a particular rate, which are not budgeted, or the hiring is happening, which is very different from what is budgeted, and then we crib about our numbers later. So I think the best thing is that we work together. So I actually worked in every appraisal, the increment percentages and the total average percentage and the total payout would typically be checked back with my finance controllers in each of the businesses, to really do a sense check whether it is making sense or not. I'm not saying individual increments, but total macro level increments and macro level appraisal ratings. And then when the confidence grows and the partnership grows, you'll be surprised, but it actually happens that HR partners with finance, looks at finance to tell about some senior leaders that what does the CFO think about them? Are they really compliant? Is the behavior okay? Is the tone okay? Not okay? Because business, CEO and HR is looking at, some kind of a growth path for each of the business leaders. And they're looking at finance then to give those inputs, the critical inputs, that, if I really put this person on this path, am I making a mistake? Am I doing the right job? Should I do it? Should I not do it? Do you have a sense? And finance people will always have a sense by looking at the behavior of people when it comes to handling money or handling finance or handling external people's money, internal people's money, vendors' money, customers' money. I think you will or we will get a sense on how these people behave responsibly, irresponsibly, rationally, irrationally, and that input HR is looking at us. Employee compliance cases. It's an area which is coming up big time in India, and it was always there in the West, and now I'm seeing this in Southeast, I'm seeing this in China a lot, India a lot now, where people are talking about handling compliance cases in a manner which is acceptable to all, which is not giving up on the compliance controls, also not on the outcomes, but the processes. Process is laid down, process is followed, and the outcomes are discussed without names to learn from those cases. And these are the recent changes, and finance really drives it completely, in my opinion, unless the case has zero finance implication. But I think even those, finance typically would be part of the team which handles all the compliance cases. HR, finance, legal, typically 3 people team, and CEO part of it, of course. Finance can also provide a lot of information on actual data, whether the fraud is expected or alleged frauds, mismanagement. I think that's where the data management by finance and data provision by finance to HR would be very helpful. Recruitment, I had started participating, and I'm sure many of you would do the same. When a recruitment is happening of a senior leader, including a business leader, CEO looks at you saying, can you participate? Can you also come and sit with me to interview? I got interviewed for many jobs by CFOs when I was a mid-manager, of course, and that was a role, not a finance role, but a business role. And the CFO is also looking at or interviewing me. So our role here is to do a sense check on the compliance orientation of the leader, of the business leader, or of the incoming, let's say, person who's being recruited. And we are the people best positioned to advise the CEO on our view on a particular candidate on what we think about the compliance orientation here. And of course, the latest is that HR is also looking at finance for the IT support, things like ERP interfaces, spend evaluations, the employee spend evaluations, etc. And IT support for HR, they just, with all again due respect, they look at finance to help them do this. Yeah. Quick look at legal and compliance. I think like HR, like we talked about frauds and compliance cases, the case support, legal can front end the cases, litigation, but I think the case support, the financial data sits with finance. I think making sure that the data is available on time at the right place, keeping the confidentiality in mind. How do we make sure that the data is available to only those people who are supposed to have it, and they have it on time and it's accurate? And I think that's important. And where we partner directly with legal is debating a line of action. So every case where money is involved, legal is partnering with finance and finance with legal to debate a line of action. Should we go legal? Should we go arbitration? Should we file a case, not file a case? Is it civil? Is it criminal? The likelihood of winning a case, tax cases, how far do we go? Do we accept a verdict or we don't accept a verdict? And then how to disclose that in the financials, contingent or actual provision in the books. Legal and finance partner a lot in this case. Ethics issues, hotline cases. Again, this is something which in last 10 years has become very prominent in many countries. I think ongoing support and decision-making, finance really plays a huge role and partners big time. Of course, budgets is a natural point, availability of funds, and of course, managing the board and statutory bodies which could be government bodies, which could be quasi-government bodies in every country, associations, industry associations. I think that's where legal and finance again start partnering and present as one team, one face, and talk as a team and remain aligned. So I think these are all natural ways to partner. And if we start doing, even in my opinion, part of it, we'll find a lot of traction from other functions, and we start becoming natural partners and respected partners slowly, and earn a seat on every table, earn a seat on the board, earn a seat on every table, and earn a seat on the management board, which really runs the company. And CEO looks at you and me, for every decision the CEO is taking, he or she is taking, they're looking at us for a ratification kind of a thing. That, am I doing it right? Do you have a point of view? Advise me and tell me, something about what I'm doing. Finally, IT, I think, tend to be closest partners, also because finance also managed IT in the past. IT includes data, IT includes AI, IT includes, so I'm using IT loosely here, in the old traditional way of, IT, but IT, digital, all combined has become a separate function now. But I think the natural partnership with finance pretty much remains. Now, I think the biggest one, of course, is cybersecurity. And I think the ERP security. So finance looks at IT, and IT looks at finance to really collaborate with each other to make sure that the data and the privacy is maintained and security is maintained. New projects, I think IT today needs a lot of money, and they look at finance for funding those projects. And the feasibility, it could be qualitative, could be quantitative. Some will give you financial benefits, some will not, but they're important, like cybersecurity. Can't work without it. Yeah. Now, also things like, whether I can keep my data in the country, outside the country, servers are going to be positioned here, outside, in the cloud, allowed, not allowed by the government. So all those areas, I think IT and finance will partner. And IT audit is an integral part of a financial audit now. Financial IT audit go together before auditors sign off. And risk management and mitigation there, I think, again, the partnership becomes extremely important. So these are the various functions I wanted to basically lay out where, finance collaborates, works for growth, works for governance, works for control, and works to help each of the functions to do the right things. Yeah. Let's look at some success mantras, some do's and don'ts. When I said do's, I think these are my learnings, that, we need to understand business. We need to define ourselves as business leader, not a finance leader. I mean, that era is over. If we call ourselves finance leader, we'll be treated as finance. But if we call ourselves as a business leader with a finance background, I think the entire narrative changes. And for that, understanding business in and out, from the manufacturing to the sales, from production to channel, I think that's an important area, and that's a clear do, number one. In fact, keeping X number of days to be spent in the market outside the finance function can be a great KRA to have for every finance person in the team. I had that 7 days a year, and if you don't do it, you have a rating issue there, then annual appraisal issues there. Calling ourselves as enabler and acting as enabler, not a blocker. Not saying that it can't be done. Very easy to say, oh, my rule book doesn't allow this to say, this doesn't allow this. I can't do this because that's what is defined in my SOP. But if it is within the compliance area, it's okay to do it. How do we find a way, or how do we find, let's say somebody comes to me that I want to launch a product at lower than budgeted margin. Yeah, I can say, no, sorry, it's not budgeted. How can you do it? But the other way to do it is, okay, if you're going to launch at a lower margin, will the volumes go up? How soon the volumes will go up? What kind of sales support you need? What kind of penetration you will have? What kind of market shares you'll get? And those are the kind of questions we can ask. And then we start becoming enablers. That what are the checks and balances we can put while helping them do this? What otherwise can be a no-no. Yeah. Obviously, we can't say that you go and do wrong things in the market. But wrong things by wrong things means legally not doable. Yeah. But other than that, if it's legally doable and morally correct, can we find a way out? Yeah. Part of cross-functional initiatives. It's an opportunity and a pain point. Opportunity because every function wants to include finance at some point of time. And pain point because we don't find time to do it. We're so busy with our routine jobs, but it's a very high reward for a finance person to be part of a cross-functional team. Imagine being part of a sales team, a new channel introduction or a new product introduction team where we play a big role. I think that's a very important role to play. Or a new project to be launched, or let's say in auto sector, a new plant to be put up, huge investment to be put up, and you're part of a cross-functional initiative. It's an honor to be there, and it's a lot of learning for us. Yeah. Also, I think helping functional leads in figuring out their cost structure, what works, what doesn't work, and managing their budgets. And how do you really help them make sure that they have controls and sustain those controls? They really value this. Yeah, she or he will really value it. Tone at the top, I would say compliance messaging, not only top, it's a very traditional way again. Tone at the top, tone at the middle, and tone at the bottom. All three places, I think right compliance, right tones are important. And identifying opportunities to grow for the business. It may not be part of my direct KRAs, but it's so important when the growth is not happening or growth is stagnating, what can be done? Anybody can see growth opportunities, so why not finance? So growth opportunities, a new channel. Can I move from offline channel to online channel? What happens? And we can provide implications of that. Can I move from Amazon, which can be expensive for some people because the cost they charge, to own e-commerce channel? Does it work for me? Does it not work for me? What kind of investment? What kind of time frame? Yeah. Or can I move from a plant which is in a non-tax haven area to a tax haven area? What happens if I open something in Mauritius or in some other UAE, which is tax-free again, right? And of course, I talked about looking at the future and not trends. These are clear do's and don'ts automatically follow. We talked about not showing the rule book. Moving from data crunching to giving insights. I think this is a huge leap we all need to take, that I can keep crunching my data and spend 95% of my time, which is great. I've been trained to do it. But providing insights is what they're looking at, functional leaders and business leaders. Yeah. And that's where I think we can play a huge role and become a natural partners and then desired partners. And of course, remaining busy on a desk job it doesn't help. We do need to find time to get to the plant, to get to the market, to work with the market, to work with the salespeople. Yeah. Let's look at some boundaries and some transparencies which we can provide. A lot of people accuse us of having too many data points and too many spreadsheets and too many versions of the same, P&L or balance sheet or budget and same numbers. So having one version of truth, with transparency as a rule, really helps. Whether it's data availability, insights, budgets, plans, actuals, profitability, all around these areas, having one version of truth. Whatever number I have, my CEO has, my functional leaders have, my business leaders have. I'm not hiding anything from them. It really helps. And at the board level, we agree with them that how will we create budgets and how will we really create a one version. Now, you want to keep some cushions? It's good to really be transparent with the CEO at least and have her or him on board. And at least then two of you can work together. Yeah. I'm not saying you share data which can't be shared statutorily, like your financial results before they are supposed to be, because these could be sensitive data points that can't be shared, or legal cases, ongoing legal cases, compliance cases can't be shared. Now, being transparent on processes, SOPs upfront, and socializing them really helps. People value that a lot. Again, If there's a failure somewhere, a breach somewhere, learning and making a case out of that without names and without and hiding those particular names, I think also is very, very helpful. People actually value that a lot. Acquisition, divestment, people are not looking at, oh, what are we going to acquire that company? No, they're looking at what is a philosophy, what is a strategy. They're looking at telling them, oh, is M&A part of a strategy or not? Is a joint venture part of a strategy or not? And then debate about a strategy. I think that's where they're looking at finance partnering with business. Of course, ongoing actual deals we can't discuss. Pricing and discounts, again, rationale, the construct of pricing, discounts, everybody's looking at us to share that with them. Not specifics for a particular customer, but at least how to go about it. How do we build a price? Now, I know some places, some companies, finance does not play a role in pricing. It's changing. All my finance controllers were part of pricing approvals, were part of pricing decision making, and putting price bands. They were part of that. Within a price band, salespeople can play, but setting a price band, I think there needs to be a rationale, and that's where I think agreeing and sharing the construct and rationale really helps. Of course, partnering for tax and cross-border tax issues, tax compliances, because they also become part of price at some point of time. And then how do we manage it? It's good to be transparent there. If we have an issue on tax, I think it's good to tell everybody that we have an issue on tax. Cross-border, or the PE, permanent establishment issues coming in because of tax. These are big issues. And I think people don't understand this, but if you tell them, they value it. Yeah. Payroll data is something which we can't share because it's very individual, and privacy laws in many countries will not allow us to share it, and we should not. And finally, some challenges and some solutions. People think, everybody think, oh, finance doesn't understand business, and we don't step out of comfort zone. How do we handle this? How do we become better partners? I talked about meeting the channel, customers, consumers. Of course, we need to remain, aware on what's happening in the market, what is working, not working, and allocate actually a time, number of days, X number of days, to really, for every individual to be in the marketplace. Building business understanding, we talked about that. I won't repeat it. Participating in their functional events. I can say, why should I go attend a sales conference? But being there, being available in a sales conference to many salespeople, and they asking questions to us and checking few things with us, it's a huge win-win. And we learn from them in those conferences, in those events. Talked about cross-functional, and not saying no to those cross-functional initiatives, which is often the case. But we need to get out of the mindset and be part of cross-functional projects. And actually proactively asking people that, can we help you? How can we help you? In which area can we help you? And finally, one point, which is a huge win, is to conduct a finance orientation for non-finance functional colleagues. It's a very powerful area. They, even telling them, how does a P&L look like? What does P&L mean? What does the gross margin mean? What does the net margin mean? How do we define a P&L? I think to tell a production manager or a sales manager, it's a huge win. And they actually value you a lot if you do this. Yeah. I would, again, let's continue one more area. Finance is seen to hoard and manipulate data. No, we don't want to be like this. We need to avoid multiple numbers, create different versions, but tell people that what we can and what we can't. We can share this, we can't share this. Be transparent about at least that part. And people really appreciate, being upfront about it. And share the data and reports, performance reports on time, and share the competitive data if we manage that data with our own insights. Yeah. People think that we don't give approvals for unbudgeted items, and we don't at times, but they may be urgent. I think that's where we need to ask a business leader that can we fund this by additional growth? There may be a business opportunity which is also not budgeted. And can we make a new project, a self-funding project? And that's where I think our role comes in. Or can we ask them to reallocate their own spends? That's where our role comes in. Or can we, cross-subsidize? That's where I think our role comes in. And if we're carrying a buffer, can we use that buffer? And when you do all this, releasing things which are unbudgeted, releasing amounts in a staggered way, and keeping the board informed, I think goes a long way again to be a very effective business partner. I was figuring out, how I can end this, and I felt that this entire business partnering area, which is now becoming bigger and bigger, because rest everything else is now science and data management done by IT and non-finance people, which is accounting, which we started our careers with. So partnering can be really, really powerful. If you start looking at solutions and focusing on solutions and provide that elusive financial information and data, basing that on our insights, and helping business and leaders to really make right choices and informed decisions, not blind decisions, but informed decisions. I think that's where we can make a huge difference. With that, I think I finish my part of speaking. Happy to take questions. Thank you. I hope you were able to listen to what I said, and it didn't break anyway. Arun?
Yeah, that was fantastic, Neeraj. I request our friends in the meeting to either raise their hands and speak out any. Yeah, we have Ravi Shankar. Ravi Shankar from Reddington, I suppose.
Yes, Arun.
Yeah, good evening, Ravi. Yeah,
Good evening.
please go. Yeah.
Sir, I have
see-
a question. Now most of the companies are now trying to use better IT products, and AI is one of the things that we are talking about. And if you see, generally AI is ungoverned. And if you use an open source, then we are getting into a lot of challenges. And if you want to develop AI, particularly for any business solution, then it becomes costlier. How do you handle the situation, sir? What way you are handling this in your company? How do you suggest to the IT head or the CEO?
So there are multiple ways. Either we provide a blind amount in the budget because we don't know how much is going to be spent in this area. We actually carry an undefined project in the budget preparation time, that we're going to be keeping this money away because we know there's change happening in the environment, which is very rapid. And AI, of course, tomorrow something else will come up, right? Secondly, I think if we do this AI, we reallocate the budget, can we really cut down something else? I mean, that's where IT and finance will have to work together and find. And three, if I do this, what do I get out of this? Can it be an ROI based investment, or is it totally blind? And if I don't do this, where do I go wrong? Will I be impacted adversely? I can say I can't do this, but if I don't do this, what will happen to my business? I think these are the areas where I think we need to really work together. I have done this, and we've actually funded some projects which are not budgeted at all. And I know that in this year we'll not get the money also out. The ROI will happen after 2 or 3 years. So we decided that we will obviously, make a budget and make a project charter with a 5-year plan, not a 2-year plan or a 3-year plan. A 5-year plan, even if it is back-ended, doesn't matter, because the cost of not doing it is very high. And if I don't do it, you can see your numbers sliding. If I do it, maybe may not grow as much, but I may at least protect my business. So one is to grow, second to protect. So I think both are required in this case.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yes, Rajnish.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, Neeraj. Good evening, Arun. How are you? So, thanks for taking everyone through the 360-degree view of the entire finance function, encompassing all functions. I couldn't agree more with you. We as a senior finance professionals can't restrict our role to F&A or controlling, can't say we are not involved in HR activities or can't support the business. Especially, when I was CFO of a company also for about 10 years, I've been advocating the same views as you said. Finance has to be a business partner. Unless you're a business partner or you don't do the handholding for the business, you can't provide effective solutions for their business. So unless these solutions are provided, you won't have the, the people knowing what exactly you can out of box thinking you can do or help them enhance the value in the business. That's very, very important and key for all finance professionals. I think that's the icing on the cake, which everybody as a finance professional should adhere and follow this, because rest of the things we all keep doing. That's very important. And thanks for highlighting this issue once again for all of us. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajneesh. Absolutely. I mean, you're echoing the points which we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. I mean, we tend to miss it somehow. We tend to remain busy with the routine so much at times. We can't find it, but we have to find time. Now,
Absolutely.
time, whether we automate, whether we use AI as earlier talked about, or we outsource, but we have to find time because we will not get extra headcount to do this.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I mean, as you said, you had to spend 7 days in a year on a sales function, go and meet the customers. I was doing same, much like same. I used to find time out of my schedule and go and meet customers, understand their problems. Why our salespeople are not able to when we were losing orders, why we were not able to get orders? They were saying, we didn't get the management approval to bring down the price. There could be more issues which our people perhaps didn't understand. What are the requirements, business requirements? Why we didn't give approval and why they didn't maybe give discounts. So unless you interact with the customers, you won't know. That's very important.
To amplify this point, I can cite two anecdotes. When I was in HUL, chairman, we typically had a chairman interview after you joined the company, after internship or management training, and Dr. Ashok Ganguly's question to me was, "Can you give me the soap production process? Explain to me the soap production process and the formula, chemical formula." I said, wow, I was prepared, fortunately, by people who were mentoring me. But his point later on was that if you as a finance person do not understand this, how will you ever partner my team in the plant? And number two, how will you even know where are we inefficient in the plant process?
Absolutely.
Beautiful. And the second example, when I joined Johnson & Johnson as a CFO, before I joined, I was sent to see an open heart surgery in Bangalore with a doctor, 6-hour surgery. They said, look at how doctors behave, operate, live, and spend time in an OT. And where do you see your products being used there? And ask them questions. These are interesting examples where people have invested in us, and that's our time, not invest in people.
Absolutely.
Yours and mine to help them really.
Absolutely. It helps you connect with all the stakeholders that way. Helps you connect with all stakeholders. Absolutely.
Jatin,
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jatin, next. Yes, please.
Yeah, so I think I would completely endorse the point that people are making, that this was a very, very insightful presentation. I think senior leaders like us have all used these points so that it rings a lot of bells and it's the right thing. Where my mind was going was that how do we get the younger members of our functions, chartered accountants, MBAs, etc., to approach their jobs like this. And my experience, particularly with not so large companies as HUL, etc., but mid-sized companies has been where usually the task of balance sheets, etc., also sits with the same people who are doing this business partnering. They tend to gravitate towards things they understand naturally, accounting standards, accounting, etc. And these things like take a backseat unless they are prodded and unless there is a very active encouragement from senior leaders in the company. Yesterday, I was sitting with somebody, Cambridge University Press's CFO, and he was cribbing that he's inducted somebody who has come from PwC as the future CFO, and this person just understands the technical side of it and not the business side of it. So the point I'm trying to just raise for discussion amongst us seniors is, how do we spread this? How do we get younger members to look at their jobs like this, look at their careers like this? So that they can benefit from this. I do not know the age profile of people attending this program, but I was just trying to think in those lines around as to how do we spread this across in our country particularly.
So Jatin, I'm told that this presentation will share with a lot of people, and there will be younger people viewing it as well later on. So considering that, I think one way in which I implemented this was first get a buy-in from the CEO, number one. That this is what we're going to do. Finance will be the business partner, finance business partner, while they are accountants as well, but this is where we'll be changing our role and get a buy-in from. Second, socializing that buy-in through CEO's desk or through HR desk. This is what finance role would be, and seeking support from everybody, and also offering them finance help. So this is the external. Having done that, come to the internal part. I think incentivizing people, I don't know in the smaller company whether there's a variable pay concept or not, but we had a variable pay concept which you could manage it to make sure that people, did this part well, or the bonus variable, like the market number of days, or the plant number of days, or doing training of other functions from the finance point of view, or participating in the interfunctional projects. So I think there has to be a leadership by the CFO to talk about it. This is where the function is headed. This is where we are going. If we don't do this, we'll become irrelevant, because our basic original job has been taken over by the machines. Even mid companies are going to become big companies tomorrow. They are becoming large companies. And ability to outsource will happen. Ability to really use IT will happen at some point of time. And all this will get outsourced. And ultimately what will be left will only be partnering. We'll only use, our job will start by using data, not generating data. That's where the job starts. And that messaging has to be made by the CFO internally, finance controllers, expose them, help. Other thing which I did was invite people from other companies to talk to my people. So we did that in our finance workshop, like inviting Rajneesh or inviting Jatin or inviting Arun. Arun, by the way, invited me in Express Infrastructure years ago to talk to his team. This was like 10 years, 15 years ago. I remember Arun inviting me there.
Yeah.
And I had no agenda. His thing was to let people hear from external CFOs what they are doing in their marketplace. That was another insightful, stuff which I benefited. I'm sure others also benefit from that.
Completely. I mean, certainly within the organization, yes, it is the CFO's task, as you absolutely said. I was just trying to, particularly addressing Arun, that as the FENG, how can we get more and more younger members to look at not just this presentation but others also, where the seniors are providing their insights based on their experience and what's happening in the market. So it's more a rhetorical question at the moment, more for us to in the FENG to take it back.
We need to.
Arun, if you have any group discussions, have a discussion of youngsters and let them debate, and what they do, you'll get insights from there. Are they doing it, not doing it? If not doing it, how much they're not doing it, or how much they're doing it? Maybe that could be a starting point.
Yes, I think we will pick the brains of Neeraj and then get new ideas about this also. I think we'll have a separate session on that. And thanks to the fantastic interaction with our members from the industry, I'm certainly sure that they would have benefited. I found the title itself very revealing, that the focus always remains on growth, governance, and control. So these are the key elements expected of any CFO. And what I could briefly talk about, whatever has been shared till now, is that the focus is more on the social skilling, because only through partnership, as a team, we will be able to do all things which we are not able to do as an individual. We do more because 1 + 1 will be 5. So that is very much dovetailed in your very detailed presentation. Not a line is wasted, not a bullet point is invalid. All of them are having cohesion, and the way you put it across, I should commend, because there's no interruption in thought, and then it's all perfect. Even assuming that it is for manufacturing industry, you can easily morph all those points to any service-based industry very easily. That's what I could feel. So it was fantastic. As I said, I think we will need to pick up, have a session with you to understand how to make it more practical, as Jatin suggested, for the next generation. as we have come past beyond this, it's essential that we have such a temperament in the next gen for everybody's benefit. So fantastic presentation. I really thank you for sparing your time and then making it happen, despite, because anyway, we are all voluntary here. And then I'm so happy that we could have this much registrations could have been better. So that is the only request I place across to all the people who are there today, registered and attending, that they can invite their friends, peer friends, to participate as a guest initially, and then later they can join us, so that it enthuses the speaker also, because it's very valuable. It's not that we get some run-of-the-mill topic or somebody who doesn't, just to fill up. We don't do all that, as you would have seen in the last 2 years. So my request again, to have more such sessions. Of course, this is very, very enlightening. And I think each word in your, though the slides are not so many, but doesn't matter at all. The impact is, it's a super punch, knockout, KO, honestly.
Arun, thank you so much. You're very generous in your with your words.
No. I'm
I'm
speaking from my heart. So,
I'm
happy. Normally, I'm very critical, honestly, but I could find value.
Happy to participate and help wherever I can. Feel free, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, and thank you all. Please join us for the networking session this month end, so that we try to understand how we can do more in our chapter, and how we can network together better. So that's the purpose of the networking meeting. So I look forward to have you all, and thank you again for being with us today. And thank you, Neeraj. Fantastic. It's awesome. Really, I'm happy.
Thank you, Arun.
Thank you, Neeraj.
Yeah.
Thank you, Neeraj. Thank you, Arun. And thank you, Charlotte, for organizing this.
Thank you. Good night
Thank you.
to all.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks.